Welcome to Unlearning, where we go behind the curtain for an insider's perspective on the theater industry, break down the buzzworthy conversations on social media, and challenge the stigmas that hold us back. I'm Veronica Stern, and together, we're unlearning and redefining what it means to thrive in the business. Now, it's time to rewrite the script. Hello, wonderful people of the world, and welcome to the Unlearning podcast. Today, we have someone who is reclaiming Jewish American princess, Chloe Hechter. She is such a light. I went to camp with her, and we talk about Frenchwoods, and we talk about her insanely funny TikToks coming up. But before we get to that, I want to let you guys know that I went to see Gypsy this past week. Yes, Audra Gypsy. And I have been looking forward to this for so long. And this is what I'll say about it. Audra McDonald is an incredible actor. I was literally sitting in the back of the house, and this theater was ginormous. I had never seen Phantom of the Opera, so this was my first time in, I believe it's the Majestic Theater. And so it was a very big theater for that show, in my opinion, but Audra's acting was just insane. Her take on Mama Rose was just so layered and so wonderful. And while I don't know if I agree with their choices for what they did at the end of the show with the Louise strip show, it was very exciting to see Joy Woods perform a sort of Josephine Baker-esque dance number because I haven't really gotten to see her dance on Broadway yet, so that was pretty exciting and wonderful. And then I also really enjoyed Jordan Tyson as Dainty June. I thought that she had it was like almost like a darker take to it that I hadn't seen yet. But the overall most amazing part of Audra Gypsy was baby June, who the night that I saw it was Jade Smith. That little girl was kicking her face. Well, I mean, it is her job, but I was going to say like it's her job, but I think she kicked her face like all the way up, like 15 times. It was incredible. So I kind of want to see it again, maybe closer next time. But overall, it was a lovely experience. And I'm not trying to like promote it or anything, but you know, go see that. Another take on the revivals for this season. Please enjoy this episode with Chloe. I had a lovely time talking to her, and I hope you enjoy listening to it even more. So Frenchwoods.
Yes.
We did Into the Woods together.
Yes. And that was where we met. And I was Little Red Riding Hood at 15 years old because I stopped growing at 4'11" and still stand tall at 4'11".
Okay. Do you remember that experience? Because we were what was in like the stock show, which was like the coveted show of the summer.
I think it wasn't stock. I think it was just a carryover.
Was it?
Yeah. It was still pretty coveted though because it was Ron's carryover, and like session 2 and 3, the middle sessions were the most populated.
Yes.
So it was definitely the most competitive.
Okay, you're totally
show
right.
To be in that summer. And I remember,
and it was a very small cast, which was very rare at Frenchwoods.
It was a very small cast. We didn't have an ensemble.
Yes.
Because one thing about Frenchwoods was that everyone would get some type of a part. So there would be certain shows where they'd try to like put all the campers in, and there would be like 70 kids in the ensemble of a production of like Sleeping Beauty Junior. Like,
yeah, no, literally exactly Sleeping Beauty Junior. How long did you go to camp for?
7 years.
Oh, wow, that's a long time.
How long did you go?
I went for I think 4 years, and then I went back as a counselor for like one summer.
I never went back as a counselor, but I did all the years. So I started when I was 10. And then I went until I couldn't be a camper anymore.
Right.
I just didn't want to be a counselor.
Why?
I just I'm very like germophobic, and I was really anxious about being in a bunk with kids.
No, honestly, I got lucky, and like I had like 14 and 15-year-olds. So like we really weren't that far off in age.
Like, for me, just, like, the germs and the lice and the impetigo at camp, like, I would have, like, spiraled and I would have been a terrible counselor because
Fair.
I would have just been having, like, I would have been rocking back and forth if the camper was like, Chloe, I threw up. I would have been like, I can't deal with it. Like, go call your mom. So I think it was better off that I wasn't a counselor.
Okay. I love that. Well, all of that being said, Chloe, welcome to Unlearning. Thank you for being here.
Of course, happy to be here.
So if anybody clicked on this video, they probably clicked because they know you from your TikToks. And I have to say that people send me your TikToks literally every single day. And they're like, this is so you. This is so funny. Da 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 da. I'm like, I literally know her. Like,
so funny.
And they're like, no, like you don't. I'm like, no, yeah. Like,
no, like we went to camp together. We
went
way
to
back.
camp. So what would you say you're most well known for on TikTok?
I would say my camp videos,
okay,
which is so funny because we know each other from camp. But yeah, I think my first like truly viral video was like me and my friend Haley, and we did like you're getting ready for a camp
and you're
social.
Like, hold it. I'll put it up on the screen while we're talking.
I know I'm hogging the bathroom. I need to straighten my hair. It's really frizzy. My mom wouldn't let me get keratin.
But so funny. And yeah, I'd been trying to do kind of culturally Jewish content for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then that video really was where I took off. I knew always that I wanted my career path to be reclaiming the phrase Jap or Jewish American princess and making it kind of like a funny comedic character and just sort of making that representation for Reform Jewish culture.
Mm-hmm.
That was always my goal. Like, you can look at my diary from 7th grade. I was writing down ideas at bar and bat mitzvahs. I'd be like, Emily's bat mitzvah, this happened, this character, this. And I just started from there, writing down every single idea I'd ever had. And obviously I had the background in theater and would always be taking comedy classes and improv classes. And then in college, I did a double major in writing and communications. And I ran one of the student fashion magazines, which kind of gave me that more marketing and social media influencer lens to look at things. And I had the writing skills as well. And so I began writing scripts and wrote a thesis and all of that. And it was just a matter of time before I figured out how to put it all together and create this path for myself. And, you know, had there not been social media, I likely would have found another avenue. But it was cool because TikTok is like, you can post a minute-long video and people can see it, and it's just a short sketch.
I think what's so interesting about that is so many people probably see your videos and they think that you're just like coming up with it on the fly or, you know, just like throwing it all together, but you're really pulling back the curtain and saying like, no, like these are like fully fleshed out ideas and fully like thought through scripts. And I love that so much.
Yeah, it's so funny because sometimes I'm still very close with so many people from camp, as you are as well, obviously. And I think it's so funny because sometimes we'll just be sitting talking, being like, oh my God, do you remember when this happened and this happened? And I'll be like, oh my God, skit idea.
That's
you know,
so
and
funny.
I'll be able to obviously exaggerate situations or create dialogue that might not have actually been said, but I'll just pull from things.
It's funny because one of the questions I had for you is how many of the things actually happened and like how many things are like maybe like based on true events?
Some of the things happened, but not to me.
Okay.
And some of them are just like ideas that I get watching. Like I will people watch in Murray Hill or like the Hamptons or oh my gosh, like there are just a lot of my fan base is actually teenagers.
I'm
like
sure.
Jewish teenagers, and I speak at VVYO conventions and JCC and Hillel
Really?
and all of that. Yeah. And that's been like a big part of the career now. But also, yeah, I love listening to the conversations with these 14-year-old Jewish kids because, you know, you can take so much. And I'm like, oh my God, did I talk like that when I was 14? Or is this Gen Alpha?
Right. Now, did all of that come from TikTok?
For the most part, yeah.
It
did. And I mean, it started on TikTok and I really just built out my brand. And I've always been kind of a persistent person. And I started reaching out to people until they started reaching out to me.
We're so similar in that way. And I think that a lot of my friends from Frenchwoods are very similar in that way.
I think we all develop this level of drive. It's so interesting. My best friend from Frenchwoods is Emmy Glick. She and I are still best friends, and we went to college together. And
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, she went to Syracuse as well, and she was in the musical theater program there. And she has been working almost entirely consistently since she graduated, and it's because she is truly her own biggest advocate, and it's so interesting to see that. And I think a lot of that definitely did come from the element of like we'd be 11 years old having to like fight for our lives.
No fighting.
Like, and when you didn't get a role at camp, it was like devastating. Oh my gosh, I remember the session after Into the Woods, our whole cast like got bad parts.
Wait, I think I remember this as well, because I remember there was one summer that I was like the lead, and then I was like in the ensemble lead.
Yes.
Was that the same summer?
I think
they all get muddled together.
I was in a very offensive all-white production of In the Heights that after Into the Woods, but I was ensemble. Yeah, I mean it was
okay.
Yeah.
So I think. But do you think that did something to our brain chemistry? Because like for me, that definitely did.
Yeah. Oh, me too. I remember people were like, oh my God, the cast of Into the Woods got so screwed this session. I have such a vivid memory of me being like, I was just one of the leads in like the biggest show of the summer. Why am I in the background now?
It's funny because in retrospect, I can look at that and be like, oh, well, of course we were, because we were already in another show in session 3.
Yeah. And that's also how the world works.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they were just trying to like teach us that you can't always have everything handed to you.
Maybe. Or just like you don't always have to have like the biggest part to have the most success. I don't really know what the lesson was.
I definitely had a lot of fun
right.
being in the ensemble. It was like definitely a lot less stress than memorizing a 3-hour Sondheim show and at 15 years old. It's, right. You know, but
wait, do you remember that scene with me, you, and Juliet, who was playing Cinderella?
Yes.
And we could never get it?
Yes. Oh my gosh, they would call extra rehearsals.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes I lie awake at night and I remember that, and now I honestly could not even still like recall like what it was, but it was like the second part, if you're familiar with Into the Woods, where Cinderella comes down and like you have some sort of like melody, I have some sort of melody, and then Cinderella does, and the three of us together could never get it.
We could never get it,
and I don't remember if we got in trouble, but like they were mad at us.
We kind of did get in trouble because our camp director got up in the cafeteria on the. He was like,
wait, did he?
He was like, Juliet, Perel, Veronica, Chloe, Hechter, like, please report. Oh my God, it was crazy.
So my favorite part about your TikToks is how they seem over exaggerated, but they are not.
They're not.
To me, they're not. Like, that is actually the experience, and you capture it so well without, like, you're obviously making fun of a group, but like you do it in this way that is so fun.
And if people do find it offensive, I'm like, then it just isn't for you, because I'm obviously trying to reclaim a stereotype that has been afflicted on me. Like, I am this like Jewish American princess theater kid. Like that's who I am, and like you can hate it if you want. But
so have you always felt that way, or did you have to come to that as you started getting more followers and all that stuff?
I definitely had to come to that, because at first, I think one of the main reasons it took me a bit to start. I mean, if I'm being totally transparent, I didn't post a lot after October 7th, 2023, obviously.
Yeah.
Because I was nervous about anti-Semitic comments, and I was seeing some of the comments that other Jewish creators were getting, and it scared me. So I didn't really go full force with posting consistently until around February, even though I kind of knew I wanted to.
Interesting.
Because I was anxious about hate comments. And then once I started to blow up, I was able to learn that was an inevitability, and if it was a really bad comment, I could block the person or delete the comment, and you know, if it was just one that would pass me by, I would let it just pass me by.
For sure. Do you feel that the idea of like the Jap is very New York Jew? Because I've been to other places
and they think you're saying like a slur about Japanese people.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, you guys don't understand, like being a Jap is like high class here. Like,
yes.
It's a very, like, if you're like a Jewish American princess, like it's like a badge of honor in a way.
Yes, I think it is definitely more of a Northeast Jewish thing. I mean, and then obviously Florida and California as
I was
well.
about to say, yeah.
But it's interesting. It definitely, the slang is lost on some people.
What's interesting to me is how popular you are on TikTok with it, though. Like, I was looking through the comments and just seeing everybody being like, yes, this is my experience. Yes, this is so me, and all this stuff. So it's...
Yeah, I mean, well, if you think about it, let's say, even if my only following is like all of Long Island and Westchester and Boca Raton and Bergen County, that's a lot of people, you know?
Yes.
And then there are also people who, like, I am a 23-year-old girl in New York, so there are just people who follow me for that reason alone, because, you know, people do love that type of content.
Yes. So where did you get the idea for you're in an NYU class and Barron Trump is your classmate?
I obviously didn't vote for your dad, but I'm really glad we're in the same econ recitation. Be honest with me. Are him and Kamala friends in real life? What about Vlad? Like Vlad Poo. Like Vladdy Poo Poo.
Because that is the funniest thing I've ever seen. The Vladdy Poot. What did you say?
Vladdy Poot Poot.
That was so funny.
I pulled that out of my butt. Like, I don't know how I came up with that one. But I was walking, like, around NYU area. I live fairly close to there. And I was like, what if I just, like, saw Barron Trump walking out with all the, you know, NYU students, I guess the stereotype is, like, they're very artsy and their major is, like, antiquated Shakespearean dialect with a minor in, like, feminist studies in Antarctica. I don't know. Like, they have, like, a whole, you know, they build their own major. And
yeah.
I was just thinking of, like, Barron Trump going to, like, his business lecture, but, like, very well knowing that, like, his father is Donald Trump. And I don't know. I was like, what if he, like, met an NYU, like, feminist girl and they, like, fell in love? And I was thinking, how could I make a video about this without offending either side? Because obviously I'm a Democrat and you know, but I also was sort of like, I still don't want to, like, offend anyone on the right, but I also don't want people to think that I like Barron Trump. Like, it's so interesting. So
it's a fine line, but it's
a fine line. So I was
well.
like very clearly playing a character, and I was like, you know, let me play this girl who thinks she knows everything, but she doesn't realize that the guy she's talking to is Donald Trump's son. And that was my first video, was she meets him at a party. And then when Trump won, I was like, do I do it? Like, do I do another one? And I was I knew that hashtag Trump would be trending.
Right.
So I ended up just doing the video and going for it.
And it's the funniest thing that you do. Well, there's many funny things that you do, but it's among one of the funnier things to me. Like, I watch them and I'm like, this is so funny. Like, this girl needs to be doing this on a bigger, like, TV screen.
One day.
No, honestly.
SNL 2030.
SNL 2030. It's only 5 years away.
SNL season 55.
Yes, exactly. So you went to Syracuse to study acting, right?
So I started in the acting program my freshman year, and I switched my major during COVID.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I feel like you went to a performing arts high school, right?
I did, and I just want to say with my full chest that I hated it.
I love that. I love that.
I hated LaGuardia, and I'm like, I have no apologies for that.
What did you hate about it?
Genuinely everything.
Was it, okay, so I know that it's can be kind of a rough school sometimes because, like, it is a public school in New York City. Was it that part of it, or was it, like, the actual, like, program of, like, doing theater there?
So, well, I had come from private school, so it was definitely a very big change. I don't think I knew how large of an adjustment it would be, because I did have the privilege to spend kindergarten to 8th grade in private school, where my classes were very small and everything was very polished, and the teachers really gave very focused attention to each individual student, whereas at LaGuardia my grade was 750 kids, and I could say a lot of my teachers likely didn't know my last name. Like, you know, it was a very different type of environment. And everything was to the textbook, and that was stressful, and the hallways were crowded, and definitely, you know, the DOE needs funding. The hallways were not pretty, and it was in the city, and it wasn't a classic high school experience, and I was watching my friends who had gone to the private school live out that classic like high school experience. And a lot of my friends from camp also were at those like kind of typical high schools with a normal high school experience, and I just didn't have that for 1 second. And the social life at LaGuardia was fairly limited to, if you were in the shows, the cast would do stuff, and then there would be the artsy kids who were doing substances and underage. And I was this like little 14-year-old girl who had come from Fieldston, and I was certainly not ready to be doing drugs in the bathroom.
Oh my God.
But I also wasn't getting...
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, I also wasn't getting roles yet.
Yeah.
I always looked very young.
So essentially, like, it wasn't the experience that you maybe thought it was going to be.
Exactly. Like, I had watched, like, Victorious and
Right.
thought it would be, like, Hollywood Arts. Like, I was ready.
Yeah, I think that happens to a lot of kids, especially that are not.
There was no Robbie Shapiro at LaGuardia.
Oh, devastating.
So heartbreaking.
So basically, going to Syracuse for acting, was that just because, like, you were already on that trajectory and, like, that's what everybody was doing?
Yeah, it was just a pipeline, and I had been, like, it was really all I started acting when I was 4. I got cast on the Wonder Pets at 4 years old.
I saw that TikTok.
Yes.
That's so funny. I love those, like, random things that pop up on TikTok, and then you're like, wait, what? They what? And so you were, like, a voice actor.
I was a voice actor. They came to my preschool and showed us an episode, and
You're kidding.
they had us, like, go around and say what we thought, and I said what I thought, and I always kind of had a bubbly personality. And they liked me. They wanted to stay after to talk to my parents, and they had me come in and audition, and I was kind of cast on the fly as a recurring guest star. And so for however long that show ran, I would probably do 2 or 3 episodes a season. And
as a preschooler?
Like, it started recording, I think I was in kindergarten. And
Still, you're like 4 or 5.
Yeah, I did my first episode in kindergarten, and I think my last in 3rd grade.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so
Wow.
I think it was just really all I knew, and I was always doing the school play and joining, like, the acting classes outside of school and whatever that was. And I went to French Woods, and I went to LaGuardia. So, and I had an agent, and I would audition and all that stuff. So I think that was just my natural progression. I didn't really think about it another way. My parents certainly did. And to say that my mother was right. But I got to Syracuse, and I was like, oh, maybe I just don't like this. Like, I was like, it felt very toxic to me at LaGuardia. I thought maybe in college that would change. It did still feel sort of just anxiety provoking and toxic to me. And to be 100% honest, I had a failed romance with a boy in the theater department, which really just messed with my ego.
Okay, so basically you changed your mind, and, like, a big part of, like, what I'm trying to do with this podcast is to make it clear to people that, like, it's okay to change your mind.
It's
and, like,
so okay to change your mind. I think with being in acting and theater, it is such an intense career that you get so swept up in it and so pigeonholed, and you're just thinking about it all the time. It is okay to change your mind. And after I switched my major in college, I did not, like, even think about theater. I was like, I never want to act again. I never want to look at a camera. I never want to be on stage. I was just behind the scenes, and I was writing. And then once I took to social media and started doing this comedy, I was like, wait, girl, you're acting again.
So this is what's so funny is it's like all roads lead back to theater. And we were talking before we started the podcast, like, so many of the most successful people on TikTok are, like, secretly theater kids.
Alex Earl went to French Woods for one session. Did you not see that?
No.
Wait, Alex Earl, like, the biggest influencer on the internet, posted this video being like, like, get ready with me while I tell you, like, facts about me that you didn't know or something. And she was like, I'm actually secretly a theater kid. I went to a theater camp called French Woods. And we were all like,
I can't believe
we
nobody
didn't
sent this
know
to me.
her. We had no idea who she was. Juliet contacted Beth. Beth is one of the camp directors. And she found it. It was like an archive. She went for 3 weeks in, like, 2011.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
That is.
And no one, like, knew her, obviously, because
all roads lead back to French Woods, y'all. I can't even stress this enough.
Yeah.
So, all of the big people on TikTok are theater kids. And so it doesn't surprise me that you found this niche on TikTok where you're able to combine all the things that I'm sure you love most, the writing and the creating, and like that's why you're thriving, because this is a place where you can do it without somebody being like, no, but you have to do it this way.
Right, exactly.
And do you find freedom in that?
I really do. And I mean, working for myself is not something I thought I would do at 23. I knew kind of I would end up doing it eventually, but
wow. So you're now doing the content creation full time?
yes. I mean, there are a lot of avenues, like, kind of through which it's not just like me posting on TikTok.
sure.
Obviously, I work with brands and I do a lot of like public speaking engagements and sort of other little stuff. But it's been great.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
I have a question that I ask all of my guests when they come on the show.
Yes.
So, what does success look like to you now, and how has that changed since you have kind of come into this career and this life that you've created?
For me, I feel very successful knowing that I have young women looking up to me, because I didn't have that in the media really as much when I was struggling through puberty and high school and all of that. And I really, really wish that I had like a Jewish young woman to look up to. That just would have been so incredible to have, and to see that I am that person for a lot of young women just always makes me smile. Like when I get these messages from girls telling me like, oh, I just had my bat mitzvah, oh, I just got the lead in my school play or whatever. I'm like, oh, thank you for telling me. I'm so happy. Like,
That's so sweet.
it's really cute. Yeah, I love it. It just makes me so happy. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are adorable.
So what is next for you? Like, what is your long-term goal with all of this?
So you're going to laugh.
No, I'm not.
Emmy Glick and I actually wrote a screenplay about summer camp, and we wrote it. I'm not even kidding. We wrote it during COVID in 2020 over FaceTime.
I love that.
We were like so bored, and we were like, someone needs to talk about our time at camp.
Yeah.
And we made a very overly fictionalized version of it, obviously. And then we did a reading of it over Zoom during COVID. And we kind of put it to bed after that for the rest of college. And then when I started doing this like professionally, we were sort of like, people want to see this in a long form movie. Theater Camp did incredibly well.
I love that movie.
I love that movie. So ours isn't about Theater Camp because obviously they already did that.
Yeah.
And we didn't feel like it was as universal if it wasn't coming from literally Ben Platt. So we just did a regular sleepaway camp. So we revisited the script, completely revamped it. And it is now about a girl who sneaks her phone into sleepaway camp and records two campers kissing, and the video goes viral, and the camp has to it's like the following summer the camp has to rebuild its reputation, and the kids have to rebuild their reputation, and it's all of these shenanigans and typical camp stories. There's like a lice outbreak scene, there's a banquet scene,
I love
first hookup sort of stuff, and it's really entertaining. So we're actually having a reading in the city in February, and I'm very excited. We have some actors coming in and some influencers who were theater kids.
Love it. Oh, well, the best thing is to be driven, and you are very driven, and it's so amazing when I get to like reconnect with people that we were like kids together.
It's
because
crazy.
It's so, like we said in the beginning, like everybody that went to French Woods has this like drive about them.
No,
It's amazing to see.
When I just remember when I saw that they were doing Into the Woods that summer, I had my eyes, I was like, I'm going to be Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, and you used to like, would you prepare like weeks in advance?
Oh, weeks in advance. I worked with my vocal coach
Yes.
on a song that would fit the role that I wanted that session.
Did you used to bring you remember the pamphlet that they used to send out?
Oh, yeah.
And
I
I would like circle the shows that were right for me, and then I would bring it to my voice teacher to be like, okay, how do we prepare? How do we prepare?
We were like, I was going to be Little Red and Into the Woods. Like I had and he only called back 2 people for it. So I was very excited. And it was like a girl who I'm still good friends with her, but I was like, I'm gonna get this role.
Remember when we had to like do our callbacks in front of everyone?
Yes.
And audition in front of everyone?
We had to audition in front of everyone. That was terrifying.
It was terrifying, but in a way so good for us because now I feel like I have no fear when I walk into an audition room.
That's true.
It was like this weird thing.
I haven't auditioned since probably I think the last audition I ever did was for the senior show at LaGuardia High School. So I haven't auditioned in a very long time.
No, life's an audition in some ways.
So true.
Chloe, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Of course.
Tell everyone where they can find you.
Yes, you can find me on TikTok and Instagram. It's just my name, Chloe Hechter, which is spelled Hechter. And then someone took my straight up Chloe Hechter, so I throw an extra R at the end because someone took the handle.
Really?
Yeah.
On TikTok or Instagram?
Both? I think she's in Portugal. I don't know. I have a name twin somewhere in Europe.
Okay.
But it's Chloe Hechter.
It was so good to talk to you, Chloe. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you all so much for watching my interview with Chloe. If you liked that, please like and subscribe, rate and review anywhere you get podcasts, and follow me on Instagram at Veronica Stern and on TikTok at ThatMixedChickNYC. See you next time.
I waved at the camera.
I love it. No, that was so good.
I was like, bye. Talk show.